Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. So I used AI to manage my projects for 30 days and the results were both shocking and eye-opening for me as a project manager. Let's find that out in this video. So here is something that's been on my mind for a while now, right? Can AI actually transform how we manage projects in the real world? Or is it just another overhyped technology trend that promises the moon but delivers very little? Well, I decided to put this to test. Now, for the past 30 days, I ran an experiment trying to use AI in multiple aspects of project management. And let me tell you, the results were both surprising and eye-opening, okay? Some things worked brilliantly, while others, well, let's just say they reminded me why human judgment is still irreplaceable in project management. Now, before you think that this is going to be another AI will solve all your problems video, let me be very clear, okay? AI didn't make me a better project manager over the last 30 days just because I was using it, okay? However, on the other side of the spectrum, what it did do was free up nearly 11 hours per week of administrative work out of my standard 40-hour work week. So that's a flat 25% and above productivity, allowing me to focus on what truly matters as a project manager. And trust me, the final discovery or realization I had during this experiment will probably surprise you because it completely contradicted everything I thought I knew about AI's role in our profession as project managers. So let's get into it and see what really happened when I let AI manage my projects for 30 days. So let's start with the first discovery: AI-powered meeting management. Now, this is where I saw the most dramatic transformation in my daily workflow. And honestly, it's probably the area where AI really poses the biggest threat to traditional project support roles such as project clerks or project support officers. So before this experiment, my typical day involved attending 4 to 5 project meetings across different stakeholder groups, right? Each meeting would generate pages of handwritten notes, action items scattered across different notebooks and post-its, and follow-up tasks that I'd often struggle to prioritize effectively. The administrative burden was consuming nearly 4 hours of my week just for documentation and follow-ups after project meetings. However, here is where Microsoft Copilot, which is my organization's approved AI application, completely changed the game. Now, let me emphasize something very critical here, okay? Data security is paramount when working with sensitive project information, especially in corporate environments, okay? Never ever use unauthorized AI tools like ChatGPT or Claude for organizational data unless those are the platforms which are approved by your organization. So here is how my new workflow evolved, okay? During each meeting, I'd use Microsoft Teams with the Copilot integration to automatically capture not just the transcripts, but also identify speakers, extract key decisions, and highlight potential action items. This, if you know, can be done within Copilot with just a few clicks. Now, at the end of each day, I'd feed all these meeting transcripts into Copilot with a very simple prompt: analyze today's meeting transcripts and provide me with a consolidated action item list organized by priority and deadline. That's it. Within minutes, I'd had a structured, prioritized to-do list that I could directly import into my action items for the day or for the week. This single change saved me more than 4 hours per week and dramatically improved my follow-up accuracy after meetings as a project manager. Now, I would recommend to try this out in your organizational setup, and do let me know in the comment section how effective it was. I'd be very interested to know about your experience. Also, if you are finding this video helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. It would mean a lot to me. Moving on to the second discovery with AI, project status reporting automation. Now, this is where AI literally became my lifesaver during those inevitable urgent update needed now moments from senior leadership. So let me first paint you a picture of how things used to work before, okay? Because that will give you the before after scenario very clearly. So where I used to manage a program of 6 to 8 projects at a time, each project used to generate 15 to 20 emails daily from contractors, compliance teams, finance, facilities, etc. If you are doing project management, you know how common it is for project managers to get this flurry of emails all throughout the day across multiple projects. Now, when my program director would suddenly ask, okay, what's the current status on project X? I'd generally spend 45 minutes frantically scrolling through email threads, trying to piece together the latest developments and get my data correct. Or on the other side of the spectrum, I would provide a very top line oversimplified update to my program manager, which was surely not impressive. Now, this happened multiple times per week, consuming more than 3 hours of my time just on project status compilation and going back and forth. However, here is how using a AI workflow transformed this process. The key was implementing a robust email categorization system first, okay? Because without this step, the process won't work. So firstly, I created specific Outlook folders for each project and religiously categorized every email as it arrived, irrespective of whether I read it at that time or not, okay? Now, this step was absolutely critical. Now, when leadership requested an update from me, I would simply select all the emails from that project folders, sometimes 40 or 50 email chains spanning weeks of technical discussions, etc., and feed them into Copilot or ChatGPT or Claude with this prompt: analyze these project emails and provide an executive summary covering the current status, key decisions, budget impacts, outstanding risks, and next steps. And voila, within 30 seconds, I'd have a comprehensive executive level summary that would have taken me hours to compile manually. And needless to say, the results were highly impressive. This single automation saved me more than 3 hours of weekly time and made me significantly more responsive to stakeholder and sponsor requests, right? Now let's talk about my third discovery, using AI for project risk register development. Now this is where AI truly proved its strategic value in project planning, and honestly, it transformed how I now approach one of the most critical project documents, which is the risk register. So before this experiment, creating risk registers for project initiation documentations or PIDs was a painful, time-consuming process, okay? I'd start with a blank template, brainstorm the key top-of-the-mind risks, and then organize lengthy focus group discussions with stakeholders to identify any additional risks. Typically, this process would consume more than 5 hours, okay? And even then, I'd worry about missing critical risks that weren't immediately obvious. However, with AI, I found that this approach could be revolutionized completely. Here is how. So as a first step, I would feed the generative AI model, depending on whichever the organization has approved for, with detailed project information, which means the project brief, scope statement, technical specifications, UK compliance requirements for myself, building safety standards for UK because where I was working, contractor profiles, and site specific constraints. This is the bedrock of the process because without this detailed knowledge and background, the AI model will not be able to optimize the risks effectively. Now, this comprehensive knowledge and project instruction was followed by a simple prompt within the AI model. Using the provided knowledge and project information, generate me a risk register for project X, prioritized by impact and probability of occurrence. Now this, as you know, is in line with the PI or the probability impact matrix for risk management. And within minutes, the model generated a comprehensive risk register with more than 20 potential risks categorized by probability and impact, complete with initial mitigation strategies as well. The beauty is that now when I engage with stakeholders in an FGD or I communicate to the other stakeholders or my project sponsor, I am no longer starting with a clean slate, right? I have a robust foundation now that I can review, refine and enhance with human intuition and further stakeholder inputs. This approach reduced my risk identification time from more than 5 hours to just about an hour, right? While actually improving the quality and the comprehensiveness of the final risk register, okay? So that's more than 4 hours of time saved for me weekly as a project manager. Now let's discuss the final discovery, which was literally a paradox, okay? And this one will probably surprise you as well. The unexpected productivity trap with AI. And this is where AI actually failed to save time for me as a project manager and taught me a critical lesson about the limits of artificial intelligence. So here is what happened, okay? I had a performance discussion scheduled with one of my assistant project managers who had been struggling with deadlines and seemed disengaged. Now, being the AI enthusiast I was striving to become, I thought, how about if I can use AI to make this conversation more productive? So maintaining complete confidentiality of the employee, I fed MS Copilot a generic scenario. How should I conduct a performance discussion with a team member who seems demotivated and is missing project deadlines repeatedly? And I provided a follow-up instruction which went as, provide strategies to motivate and re-engage this person. And following that up, I provided some specific examples and case-in points as well, just to be sure that I was not feeding a generic prompt to the model. Now, funnily enough, the AI response honestly was quite generic and somewhat amusing. It suggested team dinners, reward structures, performance bonuses, and recognition programs, which, while not entirely incorrect, were definitely not applicable within our organizational framework with the budget constraints, okay? Nevertheless, I took that input, went into the meeting with this AI-generated talking points, expecting a 30-minute straightforward conversation on performance discussion. However, what happened actually in the meeting was completely different. The conversation extended to an hour and a half, during which I discovered that this team member was dealing with serious family health issues, financial stress, and was struggling to balance caregiving responsibilities with work demands. This situation required genuine empathy, compassion, and human understanding, right? Not rewards and incentives. AI had completely missed the mark because it cannot read between the lines, or neither it can sense emotional distress or understand the complex personal circumstances that often drive workplace performance issues. Now, of course, some of you might argue that, Ray, you could have fed all those informations about the employee's personal considerations and the personal challenges which they were facing in real life into the AI model, and the AI model might have given you some realistic responses. Now, I can't deny with that kind of a logic. However, you also need to consider that the more time you take as a project manager to feed all those use-specific or let's say case-specific information into the AI model, that accounts for your time as a project manager as well, okay? Now thereby this will sort of nullify the productivity you are trying to get out of an AI as a project manager. Because think about it like this, that if you would take about 1 hour to sort of feed the AI with all the specific use case information within the AI itself and then generate an output, that is still man hours consumed by you as a project manager, right? However, that same 1 hour you have spent feeding the AI with knowledge, if you could have walked into the meeting yourself with your rationale and with your experience as a human project manager, you could have done that exercise yourself whilst you are doing the meeting, right? So it's very important for you to understand that if you are willing to use AI to improve your productivity as a project manager, you cannot use AI to sort of consume your man hours as a project manager to feed the information again and again within that AI model. Because that way, whatever productivity you will achieve by using an AI model will sort of nullify itself, because that same amount of hours that you have saved will now go into training that AI model again and again for user specific information. Okay, I hope I'm making sense. Now surely I couldn't have had let an AI avatar of me instead of myself physically lead the discussion on my behalf with the employee, right? And thinking even further, how could I have fed the knowledge of empathy and consideration within the AI model? So this experience reminded me that while AI can automate processes and can analyze data, improving the productivity of a project manager, the heart of project management, which is people management, right? Which is leading people, building relationships, and navigating human complexities, that remains firmly imbibed in our domain as human project managers, at least for now.